The forensic examiner found 8 separate sets of her fingerprints inside the apartment. Her prints, on surfaces she had never touched, in rooms she had never entered. The kitchen cabinet above the refrigerator, the inside of her bedroom closet, the underside of her bathroom sink. Places you only reach if you are looking for something or hiding something. The apartment belonged to a 29-year-old woman named Cara. She had lived there for 4 months. She had one neighbor, a man in the unit directly next door. She had spoken to him exactly once in the hallway the week she moved in. He had helped her carry a box. He seemed perfectly normal. What the forensic team found inside her apartment told a completely different story. A story that had been building since the day she moved in, possibly before. This is Case File 02, and by the time you hear all of it, you will understand why investigators describe this as one of the most methodical cases of residential stalking they had ever documented.
Cara was a 29-year-old graphic designer living alone in Chicago, Illinois. She had moved into the 3rd-floor unit of a 6-story apartment building on the north side of the city in early March. The building was mid-range, secure entry, elevator, cameras in the lobby and the parking garage. The kind of building where you feel safe because the infrastructure looks right. She had moved from a shared house with roommates. This was her first solo apartment. She had saved for it for 2 years. Her unit was 3B. The unit directly to her left, separated by a single shared wall, was 3A. When she moved in, 3A had already been occupied for 11 months by a man named Daniel, 34 years old, worked remotely, quiet, kept to himself. The one interaction she had with him was brief and unremarkable. He was in the hallway when she was struggling with a moving box. He offered to help. He carried it inside, set it down in the living room, and left within 2 minutes. She thought nothing of it. She told her friend later that week that her neighbor seemed nice. What she did not know, what she could not have known, was that Daniel had submitted a maintenance request to the building management 2 days before she moved in. The request was for a non-emergency check of the shared ventilation panel between units 3A and 3B. Maintenance logged it as completed. Nobody followed up. That ventilation panel was later identified as the primary point of entry.
This is Mr. Fadoo Horror. Every case on this channel is real. These are not stories. These are documented accounts. Real people, real evidence, real outcomes. If you are not subscribed, do it right now. Because if you leave this video and come back later, you will have missed the detail that changes everything. And there is one coming. Hit the like button. It takes 1 second, and it puts this case in front of someone who needs to know this can happen. Now, back to Cara and apartment 3B.
The first thing Cara noticed was small, easily dismissible, the kind of thing you talk yourself out of. Things were not where she left them. Not dramatically, not obviously, small shifts. Her coffee mug on the left side of the dish rack when she always placed it on the right. A book on her nightstand with the cover facing a different direction. Her phone charger unplugged when she never unplugged it. She mentioned it to a friend once. Her friend laughed and said she was probably tired. Cara laughed too. She told herself it was nothing. The second thing was a smell, faint, inconsistent. Sometimes when she came home from work, her apartment smelled very slightly different. Not bad, just different, like someone else's presence had been in the air and had not fully dissipated. She assumed it was ventilation from another unit. Old buildings carry smells through walls and ducts. She noted it and moved on. The third thing happened in week 6. She came home from a Friday evening with a friend. She walked into her bedroom to change clothes. She opened her closet. Her clothes were in a slightly different order, not shuffled, not disturbed, just shifted, the way things shift when someone moves them carefully and then tries to put them back. She stood in front of that closet for a long time. Then she called her building's management office and asked when the last time maintenance had entered her unit was. They told her no maintenance visits had been logged for Unit 3B in 6 weeks. She hung up and stood in her kitchen and tried to think of a rational explanation. She could not find one.
Cara did something that would later prove critical to the investigation. She started documenting. She did not go to the police yet. She had no proof. She had misplaced objects and a feeling. She knew what that would sound like. Instead, she bought a small notebook. Every morning before she left for work, she photographed every room on her phone. The position of objects on her kitchen counter, the state of her closet, her bathroom shelves, her desk, everything time-stamped in the order she left it. And every evening when she came home, she walked through the apartment and compared what she found to the photographs from that morning. For the first 9 days, nothing changed. She began to wonder if she had imagined it. She thought about stopping. On day 10, a Thursday, she came home at 6:42 in the evening. She opened her notes app and pulled up her morning photographs. The bottle of hand lotion on her bathroom counter had moved approximately 4 inches to the left. Her bedroom closet had 2 items rehung on different hooks. And in the kitchen, the cabinet above the refrigerator, a cabinet she never used, too high to reach without a step, was fractionally open. She never left it open. She photographed it closed every single morning. Cara sat down on her bathroom floor and called the police.
2 officers arrived that evening. Cara showed them her documentation, the photographs, the notebook, the timeline she had built over 10 days. The officers were thorough. They checked every window, every door, every point of entry. Nothing was forced, nothing was broken. The front door lock showed no signs of tampering. They noted that the building had a secure key fob entry system for the main door and elevator. Her unit had a standard deadbolt, no signs of picking. One of the officers asked if anyone else had a key to her apartment. She said no. She had not made copies. The building management held 1 spare key in a lockbox. They checked the lockbox log. Her key had not been signed out. The officers told her they could not open a formal case on the basis of moved objects without evidence of unlawful entry. They advised her to change her locks, install a camera, and contact them again if anything escalated. They were not dismissive. They were limited by what the evidence showed at that point. What no one knew yet, not the officers, not Cara, not building management, was that Daniel in Unit 3A had never needed her key. He had not come through her door. He had come through the wall. I need to stop here, because what I have just told you is disturbing. But it is not the detail that made investigators call this one of the most methodical residential stalking cases they had documented. When forensics went into Unit 3A, into Daniel's apartment, they found something that changed the entire nature of this case. It was not a weapon. It was not a threat. It was something far more calculated than that. And when Cara was told what it was, she did not speak for almost 2 minutes. Stay with me. The ventilation system in that building ran shared ducts between adjacent units on the same floor. Standard construction for buildings of that age. The panels separating Units 3A and 3B were accessible from both sides using a standard flathead screwdriver. The panel on Daniel's side of the wall, inside his bedroom closet, had been modified. The original screws had been replaced with magnetic fasteners, no tools required. He could open it silently in under 10 seconds. On Cara's side of the panel, it was inside her bedroom closet. It was painted over and had never been removed since installation. She had no reason to know it existed, let alone that it could be opened. Forensic investigators found her fingerprints on the inside of that panel. Her prints transferred there without her knowledge, likely from objects he had handled inside her apartment and then touched the panel with on the way back through. They also found something else on Daniel's side of the panel, a small hook screwed into the interior wall of the duct space. Hanging on that hook was a key, a single key. It was a copy of Cara's apartment key, made, investigators estimated, based on the key blank manufacturer's lot code within the first 2 weeks of her tenancy. He had made a copy of her key within 14 days of her moving in, before she had spoken to him, before she had any reason to think he was anything other than a quiet neighbor. The only time he had been inside her apartment with her knowledge was the 2 minutes he spent carrying her box on moving day. That was when he took her key.
When investigators searched Daniel's apartment under the warrant, what they found built a picture of obsessive, sustained surveillance that had begun before Cara arrived. On his laptop, they found photographs, hundreds of them, taken inside Unit 3B over a period of 4 months. Photographs of her apartment from every angle, her kitchen, her living room, her bathroom, her bedroom, taken at different times of day and different lighting conditions through different seasons of the apartment's short life with her in it. She was not in any of the photographs. He had photographed the space, not her directly, her belonging, her environment, the texture of how she lived. Investigators described it as a documentation project, methodical, organized, dated, filed in folders labeled by room. On a shelf in his closet, they found a small collection of objects, a lip balm, a hair tie, a single earring, a sticky note with her handwriting on it, a grocery list she had thrown away. Nothing of significant value, nothing she would have reported missing, items taken not for what they were worth, but for what they represented. They also found a journal, not a notebook of observations like what Cara had kept, but something more personal. Entries written in first person describing their relationship, a relationship that existed entirely in his mind. Conversations they had never had, meals they had never shared, a future he had constructed in detail around a woman who had spoken to him for 2 minutes. The last entry in the journal, written 3 days before Cara called the police, described feeling close to her, feeling like they were finally developing a real connection. She had not seen him in the hallway in 6 weeks.
Daniel was arrested and charged with residential burglary, criminal trespass, and stalking under Illinois law. The case took 11 months to reach trial. His defense argued that no evidence placed him physically inside the apartment, only his fingerprints on the panel between units and the copied key and the photographs and the objects and the journal. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. He was convicted on all 3 counts. He received a sentence of 4 years in state prison with eligibility for parole after 2. Cara did not attend the sentencing. She had already moved out of the building 2 months after the arrest. She moved to a different city. She has not returned to Chicago.
In a victim impact statement read by her attorney, she wrote one line that the presiding judge later said stayed with him. She wrote, "I did not lose my sense of safety in that apartment. I lost my sense of safety in every room I have been in since." Daniel was released on parole after serving 26 months. His current whereabouts are not publicly listed. Before the outro, here is what this case teaches you, and this applies whether you live in an apartment, a condo, or any shared wall building. First, find your ventilation panels. Every apartment has them. They are usually painted over, often in closets or utility areas. Know where yours are. Know whether they can be opened from your side without tools. Second, the first 48 hours of a new tenancy are the highest risk window. This is when a bad actor has the most opportunity. You are distracted, your space is disorganized, and your key is in multiple hands during the move. Change your locks within the first week, every time, no exceptions. Third, Cara's documentation is what built the case. If something feels wrong in your space, objects moved, smells that are not yours, sleep disrupted for no reason, document it. Photograph every room, every morning. Timestamp everything. Do not wait until you have proof to start building a record. Fourth, erotomania, the clinical term for what Daniel exhibited, the delusional belief in a romantic relationship with someone who does not know you, is more common than most people realize. It almost never announces itself. It looks like a quiet, normal neighbor. Trust the feeling. Document everything. Do not talk yourself out of what your instincts are telling you. Cara trusted her instincts on day 10. If she had waited until day 11, the investigation might have had a very different outcome. Cara's case is not unique. Cases like this are documented every year in cities across the United States. Most of them never reach the news. Most of them never fully understood by the people who lived through them. This channel exists to make sure you know what is out there. Hit the like button right now. One tap tells YouTube to put this case in front of every person who lives alone in an apartment building, and that is a person who needs to hear this. Subscribe to Mr. Fadoo Horror if you are not already. Every week, a new case, real accounts, documented evidence, true outcomes, the kind of content that changes how you move through the world. Leave a comment below. I want to know, did you know about the ventilation panel access between apartment units before watching this? Most people do not. Tell me below. I read every reply. And I have another case right here. A man who discovered his Airbnb host had installed the device inside a smoke detector that had been watching him for 6 days. That case is next. Watch it now. I will see you there.